Your day doesn't have to be a reaction to chaos. It can be a deliberate construction. Let's look at the blueprint.
You wake up and your mind is already racing, isn't it? The day's demands are all there, and you can get this feeling of being behind before you've even really started. Now, this isn't about a lack of effort on your part. It's actually a sign of a deeper structural problem.
The real source of this daily chaos? It's not a shortage of time, it's the absence of a clear structure. See, without a predefined framework, your brain uses up so much valuable energy just deciding what to do next. This is precisely why you feel drained. The solution is to build that framework.
A productive day is something you build, not something you just stumble into. And that foundation, it's laid in those first few moments after you wake up. This initial phase is all about priming your mind and body for the work that's coming.
You know, the psychology here is actually really simple, but it's powerful. When you complete a small, manageable task, it creates this positive feedback loop in your brain. This little success builds momentum, and it reduces the mental friction for whatever you have to do next. It's a small demonstration of control that really sets the tone for your entire day.
So, an effective morning routine really has a few key parts. Waking up a little early gives you this quiet window for proactive thinking, instead of just reacting to things. Hydration is crucial for your cognitive function. Some brief exercise gets the blood flow into your brain, making you more alert. A good breakfast gives you the fuel you need. And finally, planning your day ahead of time, well, that just saves you mental energy by cutting down the number of decisions you have to make later.
And when we say fueling your brain, that has a real biological basis. Your brain is mostly fat, so nutrients like omega-3s are vital for its health. Proteins help with neurotransmitter function, and complex carbs give you a sustained release of energy, not like the sharp spikes and crashes you get from sugar. This is really about giving your brain the specific raw materials it needs to perform at its best.
Okay, so you've primed your morning. The next challenge is to maintain that structure throughout the workday. This is where a lot of us stumble, because a lack of specific tools often leads to a total breakdown in focus.
The Eisenhower matrix is a really straightforward but effective tool for managing your attention. Our brains can get stuck in this loop of indecision when we're faced with a bunch of tasks. This framework gives you a clear system to categorize everything, which reduces the mental load of trying to prioritize on the fly.
So, the matrix has 4 quadrants. The do quadrant is for things that are both urgent and important. They need your immediate action. The decide quadrant is for things that are important, but not urgent. This is where strategic planning and prevention happen. The delegate quadrant is for tasks that are urgent, but not important, things you can hand off. And finally, the delete quadrant is for tasks that are neither urgent nor important, just get rid of them. The real goal is to spend as much of your time as possible in that decide quadrant. Now, once you've prioritized your tasks, you need a way to actually do the focused work. The Pomodoro technique, with its short, timed sprints, is great for beating procrastination, but its rigid structure can sometimes interrupt that state of deep focus we call flow. The flow time technique tries to fix this by letting you work until you hit a natural stopping point, which protects that flow state. The catch is, this method requires a bit more self-awareness to pull off correctly. Your physical environment has a direct and often underestimated impact on your ability to focus. A messy or uncomfortable workspace introduces this constant stream of low-level distractions that just slowly drain your mental energy.
You know, ergonomics isn't just about being comfortable, it's about cognitive efficiency. Every tiny physical adjustment you have to make is a micro-distraction. It pulls your attention away from your work. A properly set up workspace creates a state of physical neutrality, which frees up your mental resources to focus on the actual task at hand.
And the impact of your environment is real. It's quantifiable. Research shows that proper lighting can decrease work errors by as much as 20%. Bad lighting leads to eye strain and fatigue, and both of those are significant cognitive burdens. The idea is to minimize the subconscious effort your brain is spending on just basic perception, so you can free up that capacity for more complex thought.
All right, we've covered the beginning and the middle of the workday. Now we're going to turn to what might be the most critical and honestly the most neglected part of a productive day: how you intentionally end it.
The consequences of not having a clear end to the workday are pretty significant. The shift to remote work has really eroded those traditional boundaries between work and personal life. In fact, studies show that about 70% of remote workers now find themselves working on weekends. Without a clear signal to disengage, your brain just keeps processing work stuff, which leads to chronic stress, mental fatigue, and eventually burnout.
A shutdown ritual acts as a psychological transition between your work self and your personal self. It's a consistent routine that signals to your brain that it's now safe to stop thinking about work. The core function of this ritual is to give your brain explicit permission to stop. So, how do you do it? Well, it can be pretty simple. First, plan your main tasks for tomorrow to close any open mental loops. Second, review what you got done today to create a sense of completion. Third, do something that helps you mentally check out, like a short walk or meditation. Fourth, tidying your workspace provides a great physical cue that the day is over. And finally, actually verbalizing the end of your day with a simple phrase makes that boundary explicit.
You don't have to overhaul your entire day at once. The most effective place to start is to just create a 10-minute shutdown ritual, and you can implement it at the end of your workday today. Closing your laptop, that's a simple physical action. But quieting your mind, that's a much more complex psychological one. A structured end to your day is the mechanism that allows you to finally achieve true mental rest.